everyone, welcome back to Introduction to Yoga. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon from my living room to yours. I'm here with Django. He's here to help teach the class, or maybe he is teaching the class. So if you didn't tune in last week, the main thing to remember about yoga, if you're new to yoga, is to focus on your breathing. So as we go through the practice, if there's anything that doesn't feel good in your body, don't do it. You might notice that I'm noticing a bit of a shoulder injury. So you might notice I have limited range of motion, and that's okay. So we are where we are on any given day, so we just need to learn to accept where we are on any given day. It's the journey in and out of the pose that matters, and our breathing. So let's get started. So making yourself nice and comfortable. You can be sitting, you can be lying down. We're going to start with 3 breaths to just let our day go. So inhaling the arms up, taking a big inhale in, extending the arms up towards the sky, and sighing it all out. Letting everything go. And inhaling the arms up. And exhale, sigh it all out. And one more time, inhaling the arms up. Taking a deep breath in. And sighing it all out. And perhaps closing the eyes, making yourself comfortable. And just settling into your own natural breath, starting to tune in. I like to invite everyone to set an intention for their practice. So since it's a new year and we're bringing in fresh new energy, it feels kind of like we've let in some of that old energy from 2020 and 2021. It's kind of followed us. So maybe you want to set the intention to let that go and start fresh. Sometimes we hold on to things that we no longer need or no longer serves us. So what are you holding on to that perhaps you can let go? Perhaps we can let go of worry, tension, stress, pain, the past, people, relationships, anything that holds us back. And obviously we need to deal with these things in our lives, but we don't need to give them energy all of the time. It's okay to set them aside. So trying to focus with each inhalation, inhaling fresh, new, beautiful energy, and with each exhale, releasing all of which no longer serves you. Finding a moment of stillness and peace. And when you feel ready, slowly opening the eyes. And we're going to start with just a few shoulder rolls to get ourselves warmed up. Feel these muscles waking up after shoveling and sitting at the computer. Okay, and then coming back to center, and we're going to do a couple of little neck stretches. So just very gently turning the head to the right. And inhaling, coming back to center. And on the exhale, turning to the left. And inhaling, coming back to center. And on the next exhale, looking down towards the floor. Coming back to center. And then looking up towards the sky. And coming back to center. So the next thing we're going to do is trying to bring the left ear down to the right ear down to the right shoulder, just very gently. So you might notice I have very limited range of motion here. So if you need to take it up a notch, you can extend the other arm out to the side and very gently start to help the neck release there. But that feels a little too intense for me, so I'm going to let that go. Just go with wherever you are in your practice today. And when you're ready, coming back to center, and then bringing the ear down to the opposite side. And maybe once again, extending the other hand out to the side and gently bringing that head towards the ear. But again, not for me. And coming back to center. Let's do a little round of arm circles to just get things warmed up here. So you can make your circles as big or as small as you want to, or you can start out small and get larger. And when you're ready, turning the circles the other way. I'm circling to the back now. Make these circles a little bigger just to help open up the chest here. That feels nice after sitting at my desk. When you're ready, just slowly bring the arms back down to the sides. We're going to do one more stretch for the arms. So extending the arms out to the sides and then turning the palms up towards so that your fingers are facing so it's like you're pressing two walls away from you. And if your fingers don't quite go that high, that's okay. It feels like a nice little stretch for the fingers. And then we can point the fingers down towards the ground. And then gently releasing the hands. Let's take and inhale the arms up. And exhale very gently, twisting to the right. Letting the arms fall wherever they may. Trying to make sure we're sitting up nice and tall. Taking a big deep breath. And inhaling the arms up and then letting them come down to the opposite side for that nice twist. And when you're ready, coming back to center. So from here, we're going to transition onto our hands and our knees to do some cat-cow. So we're going to make sure that our wrists are underneath the shoulders and our knees are underneath our hips. And on the next exhale, rounding the spine, starting with the tailbone. And inhale, coming into cow, arching the spine, looking often towards the distance. And just letting your breath guide the movement, and then flowing back and forth between cat and cow, following your breath. And when you're ready, coming back to neutral spine. We're going to bring the big toes together and extend the knees out to the sides of the mat. And then sitting back on the heels, coming down into child's pose. So you can come into child's pose or any resting pose anytime you feel like it throughout the practice. I'm just here to make suggestions. You don't have to do what I'm doing. It's your practice. You're in complete control. So you can stay down in child's pose, or you can transition with me to downward facing dog. So some people don't like downward facing dog because it can cause a bit of pain in the wrists, and I was one of those people back in the day, and I've learned to make my peace with it. So there's several things we can do to help that, alleviate that wrist pain. So we can make sure that we spread the fingers nice and wide on the mat. And the other thing we can do is try and press the weight more towards the thumb and the forefinger so that we have less weight going into the outer portion of the hand. And that helps protect the wrists a little bit. The other thing we can do as we press up into downward facing dog, we're not going to do it quite just yet. The goal is to have the weight evenly between the hands and the legs, but if we're new to yoga, we can certainly try to put more weight into the legs to take stress off of the hands and the wrists. So that's certainly an option until you feel strong enough. This is one of those poses that I actually started to help with the wrist pain that I used to have at my desk because I did build up strength over time. So I encourage you to stick with it. So spreading the fingers nice and wide, trying to press towards the thumb and the forefinger. We're going to tuck the toes. I'm already there. And then we're going to start to lift the hips up towards the sky. So while working towards having the heels towards the ground, it's not necessary that they touch the ground. Mine certainly don't. So we can also externally rotate the upper arms to help put more weight into so that the upper back is taking more of the stress, and that takes stress off of the hands and the wrists as well. So the other option, I'm just going to come down for a second, the other option is to fold up the mat a little bit and place the hands on the mat and the fingers on the ground. That might be a little too much there. And then come into the pose, and that also helps alleviate take some of the stress off of the wrists. That already feels a lot better. So if you're up here, you might want to pedal out the feet. You can stay here, or you can come back down into child's pose. So let's all take a little break in child's pose. We're just going to work on that alignment one more time. But if it doesn't feel accessible to you today, that's okay. You can stay in child's pose or practice your favorite pose, work on your breathing. So once again, maybe folding up the mat if that feels like it was working for you. Making sure the hands are on the mat, fingers are on the ground. Tucking the toes. Spreading the fingers nice and wide, pressing into the thumb and the forefinger, and then starting to lift the hips up towards the sky. And perhaps externally rotating the upper arms. And of course, still remembering to breathe. Lots of different things going on here. So just accept wherever you are today. And when you're ready, slowly making your way back down to child's pose. So from here, we're going to slowly transition to a seated position. So just gently making your way in your own time. So crossing one leg in front of the other. I'm just going to turn this way, maybe it'll be easier for you to see. I'm going to inhale the arms up and exhale, starting to come down towards the ground. Perhaps walking the hands out just to your own degree. Don't worry if you're not bent fully down to the floor. I don't get there. We're all getting the same benefits. I'm feeling a nice stretch in the back and in the hips. So making sure you're still taking full deep breaths. And that might mean walking the hands in a little bit so that you're not working so hard. That's okay. You're still getting benefit. Slowly walking the hands back in. We're going to switch the legs so that the other leg is in front. Making sure both sit bones are on the ground. And inhaling the arms up. And exhale, gently releasing down to the ground. And once again, if you're not taking full deep breaths, you may need to come out of the pose slightly. Django's checking my alignment. And getting fur all over the place, as usual. Gently walking the hands back in. We're going to bring both feet together so that the soles of the feet are touching. And on the next exhale, slowly folding down towards the feet. So you can take a hold of the ankles or the feet. This is a nice time to give yourself a little foot rub. And don't worry if your legs are, if your knees are more pointed up towards the sky, that's okay. Acknowledge, thank yourself for wherever you are in your practice today. We're all going through a stressful time, and it's important for us to be gentle with ourselves. very slowly extending back up, chest up towards the sky, heart is lifted, taking a nice deep breath in. So from here we're going to extend the right leg out long. We're going to bring the sole of the foot towards the inner thigh. And taking a nice inhale up towards the sky, we're going to extend towards that extended leg. So just taking a nice little side bend. So I'm pretty stiff right now. So we're trying to keep our chest open towards the sky here. Heart is always shining up towards the sky. Taking a nice deep inhale in. Full exhale. Always focusing on the breath. So don't worry if you're not touching your toes, that's okay. And don't worry if your leg is not flat to the ground, that's okay too. And then extending that hand back down. We're going to do a counter pose here. We're going to extend the opposite arm up towards the sky. And perhaps taking a little lift here, just getting a nice little bend. You don't have to hold that one for too long. So bringing yourself back down. Extending the leg back in. We're going to extend the left leg out to the side and bring the sole of the right foot towards the inner thigh. And then placing that left hand on the shin or the toes, wherever it's comfortable for you. Being mindful that it might feel completely different from the other side, that's okay. And then inhaling the arms up and extending to get a nice little side bend. And once again, trying to keep that heart shining towards the sky. Placing that hand down on the ground, we're going to counter pose once again. So lifting the hips up towards the sky and extending the other arm up towards the sky or the opposite wall. And once again, you don't have to hold that one for too long, because it might be a little bit stressful on your wrist depending where you're at. And then coming back to a seated position. I'm just going to turn this way. So from here, we're going to come into boat pose. So we're going to place both feet on the ground with our knees bent. Sitting up nice and tall, shining the heart towards the sky. Crown of the head is up towards the sky as well. Shoulders down and away from the ears. And still breathing. Lots of instructions. So from here, we're going to lift the legs off of the ground. And you can hold the back of the thighs if you wish. This is a little exercise pose to work the core, because the core is always activated when we're doing yoga. So you can stay right here, or you can extend the hands out to the side. So it requires a little bit of balance. But you should still be able to breathe. So if you find that you're taking short, shallow breaths, feel free to take a hold of the legs. And if you feel nothing in this pose, you can always extend the legs up towards the sky as well. Wherever you are at today in your practice, honor where you're at. Let's release the feet back to the ground. So we'll revisit that one momentarily, but we're going to just take a little easy pose here. So crossing the right leg over the left. We're going to make ourselves nice and comfortable, and then we're going to cross the hands as well. So crossing the left arm over the right and clasping palms so that our palms are touching. So it might not feel like we're doing much in this pose, but it can be quite relaxing to have the palms clasped together. Helping us to still the mind. And with each exhale, releasing all of which no longer serves you. When you're ready, unclasping the hands, switching the feet so the opposite leg is crossed over the other leg. And this time, crossing the right arm over top, clasping the hands, sitting up nice and tall. And perhaps closing the eyes. Inhaling light, inhaling new beautiful energy, and exhaling all of which no longer serves you. And when you're ready, unclasping the hands. We're going to uncross the legs, and we're going to try that boat pose one more time. So lifting the feet off of the ground, flex the feet, make sure the legs are parallel to the ground. Heart is lifted, shoulders are down and away from the ears, and of course we're still breathing. And if you feel ready, letting go of the hands. For Django to come and knock me over. Taking a hold of the legs if you need to. And when you're ready, releasing the feet back to the ground. So I'm just going to turn around and face you here. So we can do a little stretch to help with the shoulders. So I'm going to be mindful because I am nursing a bit of a shoulder injury, but this can be quite nice if you've been sitting at a desk all day. So we're going to extend both arms out in front of us, and we're going to cross the right arm under the left, and we're going to try to bring the palms together. So mine don't touch, that's okay. You can have the palms we can have the back of the hands together, if that works better. If this is really intense on the shoulders, you can give yourself a little hug instead. You're still getting benefit from that. Oop. If you don't feel anything here, you can start to lift the elbows up towards the sky. Taking full deep breaths. With each exhale, letting go. Letting go and releasing. And then gently releasing the hands. Maybe give the shoulders a bit of a shake here. We're going to extend both arms out in front of us again, and this time crossing the left arm underneath. Getting it confused already. And then once again, either the back of the palms are together or the palms are touching. Mine don't quite touch, that's okay. This feels a little slightly more intense on this side for me. And if you feel nothing here, you can start to lift the elbows up towards the sky. I'm going to stay here because this feels like it's a nice stretch where it is. With each cycle of breath, maybe finding a little more stillness and peace. And when you're ready, gently releasing the hands. We're going to make our way down onto our backs. So not quite time for Shavasana, but just gently making your way down to your back. We're going to plant both feet on the ground so that our knees are bent. We're going to come into our reclined pigeon pose. So crossing the right foot across the left knee. You might feel a stretch here. And then we're going to gently take a hold of the thigh, bringing that leg in, or you can take a hold of the shin, depending on how intense you want the stretch to be. Flexing both feet. This is a great stretch for the hips. You might feel a release in your jaw as well. Ready, gently releasing the legs, placing both feet back down on the floor. Knees are bent. We're going to cross the left ankle across the right knee. And gently taking a hold of the thigh or the shin, flexing both feet. And this side might feel tighter or looser. But we're trying to bring balance back to the body. Trying to bring balance back to the mind, body, and spirit through our practice. And when you're ready, gently releasing the feet, bringing both feet on the ground, knees are bent. We're going to let the knees open to either side, coming into reclined butterfly. So don't worry if your knees are not on the ground. Mine are not. Flexing both feet, and then we can extend the arms out to the sides in a V position with the hands pointed up towards the sky. With each breath, bringing in fresh new energy. And with each exhale, letting everything go. We don't need to carry it around, we can just let it go for a bit. feel ready, extending the legs out long, about the width of the yoga mat. Feeling the shoulders melt down and away from the ears. Coming into final resting pose. Hands pointed up towards the sky. Coming back to your own natural breath. So while you're in resting pose, to help us with our meditation, I'm just going to do a little reading here. Thank you, sadness, for helping me appreciate joy. Thank you, despair, for helping me find hope. Thank you, stress, for teaching me about balance. Thank you, anger, for teaching me forgiveness. Thank you, fear, for teaching me courage. Thank you, challenges, for teaching me how to find solutions. Thank you, sickness, for teaching me how to take care of my health. Thank you, grief, for reminding me that I had something beautiful to lose in the first place. Thank you for all of the lessons that I will never forget. Sadness, despair, stress, anger, fear, challenges, sickness, and grief, I let you go with love. And slowly starting to bring your awareness back to the space that you're in. Feeling the mat beneath you. And starting to wiggle fingers and toes. Bringing gentle movement back to the body. And when you're ready, rolling over to your right side. And slowly making your way back up to a seated position. Moving as slowly as you need to. And when you feel ready, opening the eyes. Feeling refreshed, feeling grounded. Feeling ready to carry on with the rest of your day. Feeling a little bit lighter and a little bit brighter. Let's take one breath together to close our practice. So inhaling the arms up. And exhale, hands through heart center. The light in me honors the light in all of you and every soul. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining the class today. I'll see you again next week. Bye.